Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, give it good evening, depending on when you be watching this. My name is Akpan Emmanuel, co-founder AI Teacher, and today we are going to be looking at implementing SDGs and, of course, SCL into your classroom, and of course, how AI can help you to make this happen. We're going to just take a look at introducing the topic today, and then we'll look at what is education for sustainable development, and then we'll go into SELs, that's social and emotional learning, and then we'll then look at how to integrate these two, and then we'll move straight into the practical part of the training. So straight up, we are going to of course introduce today's lesson. Of course, like I've been saying in our previous webinars that the educational landscape is changing. And of course, technology, with the advent of technology and all of these other tools that is available to us as teachers and of course to students, we need to begin to rethink the way we teach our students. Of course, integrating education for sustainable development, ESD and SEL, that's social emotional learning, is crucial for nurturing well-rounded, future-ready students, right? And ESD basically empowers learners with the skills and knowledge to contribute to a sustainable world. Of course, if your goal is to teach your students so that they become changers and so that they become change makers, so that they are able to solve world problems, so that they are able to solve global problems, global issues, right? So we must begin to integrate ESD into our classroom so that we don't just churn out students that are basically thinking about how they would get a job and then make salaries and all of that. If we are training students that will be global, that would add impact to their world, we must begin to integrate ESD. As we go on, we'll see why this is so important. Now, of course, to contribute to the sustainable, why SEL equips them with emotional intelligence to navigate social interactions and personal challenges effectively. Now, this is so important, especially in this recent in the world today, where we see a whole lot of teenagers and young people committing suicide, or the way they even talk online, and the way they handle the technology that they have, right? So as teachers, we must begin to implement SEL, and then our focus will be how they can be emotionally intelligent. This is important. Much more than them being educationally intelligent, they need emotional intelligence to be able to navigate the world they will live in and interacting with people, their peers, and so on and so forth. Together, these approaches create a holistic learning environment that prepares students for both academic success and responsible global citizenship. Of course, what is ESD? That is Education for Sustainable Development. Of course, this equips learners, like Riley mentioned, with the knowledge, skills, and values to address global challenges, right? So there are issues that are major concern in the world today, right? Much more than being an accountant, or much more than we training our students to be doctors, to be accountants, to be just name the field, right? We must also teach them to understand the global problems, so that while they are becoming doctors, for example, they begin to see how they can use that for the greater good, for a global cause, and to address global problems, right? So what this is why this is so important. For example, challenges like climate change, right? As you're teaching your student, as they begin to probably go into the university and to learn things that maybe that science subjects that are that might have bearing around climate change, they are able to bring their field of study into stream it down into what the problems is in the globe, what the issues are around the globe, how they can basically use their knowledge to solve global problems. Of course, inequality is one of that, and sustainable consumption is also one of that. Today we are talking about sustainable consumption, and all of those kind of things. It is important that from school, from our students, we begin to teach them all of these things so that they'll be able to be a major game player when in solving global issues. Of course, it fosters critical thinking, right? Problem solving and responsible decision making to promote a more sustainable future using the 17 global goals, 17 SDGs, right? So we call them Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations. So what we are going to do is that we are going to share a link to after this training so that we can go through the 17 goals and see each of these goals and understand how we can begin to implement them in the classroom. So for the implementing phases, we are going to basically show us how we can do all of that, right? So let's move to the next one. So SEL, social and emotional learning. Social and emotional learning focuses on developing students' emotional intelligence, including self-awareness, empathy, emotional regulations, and social skills. Now, these are very key. These are very key. For those of us that are very, 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 that we're using social media very well, if you go to TikTok, you will see why this is very key. Where there's no empathy. Students don't understand why they should not bully a person, why they should not act in a certain way. Now, this comes from them not having emotional intelligence, not understanding empathy, not understanding how they can regulate their emotions. This is also very important because we have, we see young teenagers, committing suicide and all of those kind of things. This is because they cannot regulate their emotions. They don't know how to manage, crisis when they see one, or what they term to be crisis, or what they term to be issues around their lives. So it is important that we begin to implement these when we teach our students, right? And it prepares students to manage emotions, build positive relationships, and make responsible decisions, enhancing both personal and academic success. Now, this is so important, right? Just to stress on the importance, this helps create well-rounded, emotional, resilient students who can thrive in personal and academic environment. So this can SEL can it's I think in this part of the world, that is Nigeria now, we really don't put so much into things like this. But we think from what we are seeing today, we perceive that in the next 5 years, with how technology is so accessible to students, there might be, there might be a surge in in so much negative things, which I don't want to say here. So basically, we as teachers must begin to prepare our students so that they are well-rounded, emotionally intelligent, and they are well-rounded on how to handle some of these issues. In conclusion, integrating EST and SEL into the curriculum is essential for fostering a balanced and forward-thinking education system by equipping students with the tools to think critically, act responsibly, and manage emotions. We prepare them not only for academic success, but also for life beyond the classroom. So it is important for us to do this. Leveraging these frameworks ensures that we are cultivating compassionate, resilient, and globally conscious individuals who are ready to make a positive impact on the world or in their world. Okay, so so at this point, we are going to quickly look at how can AI help you to implement all of these tools, all that we have said. How do we implement this in our classroom? How do I go about it? I want to implement SDGs. I want my students to understand the global problems. I want them to begin to, to understand the world they will live in and the issues that everybody is trying to solve. Now, this is also important because we are teaching them to solve problems in their world. We are teaching them to solve problems when they leave the classroom. So what are those problems that are in the world? How do I begin to integrate and implement this in my classroom so that my students are well-rounded? So let's move straight into I'm going to share my screen where I take us to AI Teacher. If you don't have an account on AI Teacher, you just go straight to aiteacher.com and then AI Teacher, the teacher there stops with A, not ER. So AI teacher, CHA, not CHER, right? So, and then you're able to create an account, to a free account to start making use of some of the things that you're going to see me use here today. So I'm going to go straight into I'm going to go straight into the dashboard for AI teacher. Let me share this again, and then we'll basically see how we can use how we can begin to integrate what we are talking about. Okay, I do hope you can see my screen. Yeah. Okay. So let me quickly see. I do hope my screen is okay, just so I'm sure, let me stop and to share again. So we are going to make use of the SDG um, uh, generator. We are also going to make use of the SEL generator on AI Teacher. These two tools we deliberately added them to AI Teacher so that teachers can, begin to see how they can begin to implement all of these things in the classroom. So once you get to your AI Teacher, the next thing you want to do is click on All Tools in your dashboard. And then once you click on All Tools, you scroll down. There are so many tools here, over 30 tools for teachers to test out. Whichever one that you want to use, you can go ahead and use them, right? But we are going to just, because of time, focus on the ones we are talking about today. So let's quickly look at that. Okay, so here's the social emotional learning generator. So once we click on that, what we want to do is we want to choose the grade, that is the class you are teaching. Let's say I'm teaching students in grade 10, okay? That is SS1, and then that's for Nigeria. And then what competencies am I focusing on? What do I want my children to learn, right? I want them to learn empathy, right? I want them to learn self-awareness. Some schools, they usually have empathy week, and so on and so forth. So you can actually use this to, self-awareness. I want them to online safety, right? Online or bullying. Okay, let's talk on bullying. Okay, so even as a teacher, you're trying to get your student to understand why they should not bully a person, right? Okay, so you can basically use this tool to teach that, right? It's going to generate something for you to be able to support students that might be doing that in your class. I think this is actually a major issue, right? You have students that are bullying in the class, but you don't know how to, manage that particular student. Okay, so with this tool, you can, from this social emotional learning generator, you can be able to generate something that will show you how to manage a child that is bullying in the class. Remember, these are students that teachers are not meant to give up on students. Like, oh, this child is just stubborn. He's bullying every other student. We must look for ways to be able to, let that child knows what it means to bully, right? So if you're a teacher, probably you've talked to the counselor, you've done all you can, and then they've spoken to the child, but this keeps persisting, right? In fact, even before you go to that as a teacher, you can just come here and then just do what I'm doing right now. And the next thing you do is you put the number of weeks. Probably you want to, work with that student. You want to dedicate like 1 week or 2 weeks, to see how, and just to see how it works. If the student will change, which we believe this has come back 80%, proof that this would work for your class or work for that particular student. So, and once you have done that, now I've imputed 3 things, right? So, but for you. It can be just one, it can be just two, right, that you want to do to be able to, help, create that, to integrate SEL and, create that awareness in your classroom. So as you can see here, now, as you can see here, 2 weeks, focus areas, empathy, self-awareness, and bullying prevention, right? So the objective here is develop students' ability to empathize with others and recognize different perspectives. Number 2 is enhancing self-awareness regarding personal emotions, strengths, and weaknesses. Number 3 is equip students with strategies to prevent bullying and respond effectively to bullying situations, as you can see here. Now, this goes straight into day 1, introduction to empathy, right? Day 2, understanding self-awareness. Day 3, empathy in action. Day 4, self-awareness and mindfulness. Day 5, integrating empathy and self-awareness, right? So, and then number 2, week 2, bullying prevention and empathy development. Group discussion and brainstorming. Students share their definitions and experiences with bullying. So all of this comes handy. You have a clear direction on how to create that awareness, on how to create, that environment in your class where everybody is emotionally intelligent. They know that we're not supposed to do this, we are not supposed to do that, I'm not supposed to act like this to this particular student. All of that integrated here. So this is super interesting and very beautiful. In fact, it looks as if I just download this and take to my class, right? So, and then we have assessment method, right? Reflection journals, participating in activities, campaign project assessment, self and peer assessment, pre and post survey, right? Resources, books, so these are books that they can actually look at, then conclusion. So this is an amazing tool. So all you just need to do now is to download as PDF. Now, this is so important that now no matter how however a student acts in the class, it still boils down to the tool that the teachers have to be able to support those kind of students, right? Our duty and role as teachers is to see how we can better the students that are in our class, and their emotional intelligence is also very key. So as a teacher, don't just say, oh, my own is just to teach them and they know math and English, right? They can know math and English, but they might become a menace tomorrow. So it is important that we begin to push this. And of course, I'm also calling on school owners that you see how you can implement this, maybe a week, social emotional learning week, right? Where everybody's learning about empathy, everybody's learning about kindness, everybody's learning about bullying and how to prevent bullying. Everybody's learning something that is apart from the academics. Now, this is so important because with all of the things that they are exposed to, even outside the classroom, right? Some of them are coming from different backgrounds, different homes with different challenges. Some of them, might have, underlying issues and all of those kind of things. So, but as teachers, we must be able to, and school owners, we must be able to create an environment to, to support our students, to make them better, and I trust that as we use this, it's going to work for us effectively. So I'm just going to go straight into the SDGs to see how. So I've just downloaded that. I love that particular content. I love it so much. So I'm going to just download that. So these, as a teacher, you can just come here and then you create one for yourself and you have something like this, well detailed, that you can, if you want to make it a whole term, if you want to make it, 2 weeks or a week, depending on what you want to achieve. Okay, so let's go back to all tools, and then I'll click on that, and then I scroll down to SDGs. How do I implement SDGs into my class? So, and that's it, SDG generator, as you can see here. I click on that. Once I click on that, the next thing I want to do is I want to choose my age group. So age group there also means the class, right, that the students belong to. So I want to start implementing SDGs to my students in grade 8, of course, and that is GSS 2. Okay. And then what subject am I teaching? So let's say I'm teaching mathematics. So the whole idea is to implement and integrate SDG into what you are teaching, right? So I'm teaching, let's say, economics, right? That's what I teach. And then I want to implement, select. So here you can select the specific SDG you want to add to your subject. Okay. I want to add affordable and clean energy, right? I want to add good health and well-being. Okay. I want to add life below water, life on land, So you can look at which one you want to. So this you can do termly. Okay, this term I want to focus on. You pick 3 or 4 SDGs or 5, right? I want to implement. School owners can also do this where they deliberately choose an SDG team or 4 or 5 SDG team every time that will be implemented across all subjects, and they can use this tool to implement this in all of their subjects. Okay, so and then I once I'm done with the number of, okay, let me just choose this as well. I'm done with the number of SDGs I want to implement. The next thing I want to do now, if you see the process, I went from choosing my age group, which is the class I'm teaching, to choosing my subject, the subject I'm teaching, and then to choosing the number, all the SDGs I want to implement, I want to integrate into my lessons, right? And then I click on generate. So it's going to go ahead to generate and, create a plan on how I can implement this for my grade 8 students, how I can implement SDGs into economics, so that when I'm teaching them, I'm able to do that. So integrating the United Nations main goals into the 8th grade economics class can create, so now strategies for integration, right? So project-based learning, encourage students to work. So now these are the strategies you need to use. Then specific examples and activities. So here you have goal 1, no poverty. Remember, we added goal 1, right? So now, these are project and also, as you can see, description, outcome, and then simulations, okay? And then we have description here, create a simulation where student must budget with a limited income. Now I think you see so you are teaching them. In fact, this goes even to teach them how they can manage funds, how they can, reduce the way they spend money, because that's how you have to save for poverty not to come on you. So basically, these, as you can see, in fact, I feel like just teaching, with this, right? So this is super exciting. So create a simulation where students must budget with a limited income. They will receive different scenarios concerning job loss, healthcare expenses, and unexpected outcomes. Okay, so you can just create a scenario in the class. Okay, you just lost your job, this, and then you have just 1,000 naira. Now, use that 1,000 naira for 2 days. And so you're going to eat lunch, you're going to eat whatever you want to eat, you decide what you want to eat. So then you ask them to go ahead and then do their budgeting on how they'll be able to spend that 1,000 naira. You'll be so surprised that when you do this regularly with your students, they'll begin to gain that consciousness of how they can manage things, of how, they can be able to manage funds, finances that come to them, right? So outcome, the activity will help students understand financial decision making in relation to economic vulnerability. So this is so important, right? Decent work and economics, right? We chose that SDG 8. We also chose SDG 12, right? And then we also so we have assessment and reflection, and then conclusion. So this is what is going to help you to be able to implement this into whatever it is that you are teaching. You're a mathematician, right? You teach math. You can come here as well and, see how you can implement this into your math subject. Now, if you notice the way it talking about economics, how they can reduce, spending and all of that. Now that is, implementation basically aligns with economics, right? So, for math teachers, that will also be different. For English, that will also be different. So as a teacher or even as a school owner, you can implement this to your, choose like 2 or 3. Now, it's going to bring real life experience, real life issues on how students would be able to, learn, how they can become better, solve real world problems, solve the issues. Imagine that every school is in implementing what we just saw there about number one, no poverty. Every student graduating will come out with a sense of responsibility on how to spend money, and that can drastically reduce poverty. So that's the whole concept. So at this junction, we are going to stop this class. We'll be sharing this recording via email. For anyone that have any question to ask, you can always reach out to us via email. Of course, to get to AI Teacher, all you need to do is go to aiteacher.com, create, like I rightly said from the beginning, the AI Teacher is Teacha, not ERHA, right? AI Teacher, one word.com. And then you just click on enter. It brings you to the website. You click on create an account or start for free, and then you can start creating something like this for your classroom. Thank you so much for joining this webinar. We look forward to taking questions. We look forward to taking whatever feedbacks you may have in our email. Thank you, and God bless you. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely day. Bye-bye.